Okay, so today we are going to discuss what is special education, terms commonly used in special education, and the 13 categories under IDEA. What is special education? Special education refers to a range of services that can be provided in different ways and in different settings. It is designed for those students who are mentally, physically, socially, and/or emotionally delayed. Who qualifies for special education? Of course, children with disabilities are the one who qualifies for the special education. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, is a law that defines and regulates special education. IDEA covers 13 categories of disability. First is autism, or what we call ASD, Autism Spectrum Disorder. It is a developmental disability. It covers a wide range of symptoms, but it mainly affects a child's social and communication skills. It can also impact behavior. Michael Fitzgerald, professor at Trinity College in Dublin, believed that Einstein also had Asperger syndrome, a type of autistic spectrum disorder, due to his creativity. Number two category is deaf blindness. Kids with a diagnosis of deaf blindness have both severe hearing and vision loss. Their communication and other needs are so unique that programs for just deaf or blind can't meet them. One good example of deaf blindness is Helen Keller. She is an American author and she was the first deaf-blind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. Third category is deafness. Kids with a diagnosis of deafness fall under this category. These are kids who can't hear most or all sounds, even with a hearing aid. One example of deafness is Ludwig van Beethoven. He is a famous composer, and at the age of 26, he started to hear buzzing and ringing in his ears. Another category is emotional disturbance. Various mental health issues can fall under emotional disturbance category. They may include anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, obsessive compulsive disorder, and depression. Some of this may also be covered under other health impairments. One example is Demi Lovato. She is a 19-year-old Disney star best known for her role in the made-for-television movie Camp Rock. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 2011 while receiving inpatient treatment at Timberline Knolls in Illinois. Next category is intellectual disability. Children with this type of disability have below average intellectual ability. They may also have poor communication, self-care, and social skills. Down syndrome is one example of an intellectual disability. One example of intellectual disability is Marian Avila. She is a 21-year-old Spanish model with Down syndrome. And yes, she is famous. Next category is hearing impairment. The term hearing impairment refers to a hearing loss not covered by the definition of deafness. This type of loss can change over time. Being hard of hearing is not the same thing as having trouble with auditory or language processing. The seventh category is SLD, or Specific Learning Disability. The umbrella term SLD covers a specific group of learning challenges. These conditions affect a child's ability to read, write, listen, speak, reason, or do math. Here's what could fall in this category: dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, auditory processing disorder, and non-verbal learning disability. SLD is the most common category under IDEA. In 2018, 34% of students who qualified did so under this category. One famous person who has SLD is Daniel Radcliffe of Harry Potter. He has mild case of dyspraxia. It is a neurological disorder that affects the motor skills, and he said that he has trouble tying his shoelaces. Next category is orthopedic impairment. An orthopedic impairment is when children lack function or ability in their bodies. An example is cerebral palsy. One example of famous person with orthopedic impairment is Nick Vujicic. He is an Australian American born without arms or legs who has become a world-renowned speaker. Next category is speech or language impairment. This category covers difficulties with speech or language. A common example is stuttering. Other examples are trouble pronouncing words or making sounds with the voice. It also covers language problems that make it hard for children to understand words or express themselves. Next category is traumatic brain injury. This is a brain injury caused by an accident or some kind of physical force. The 11th category is visual impairment, including blindness. A child who has eyesight problems is considered to have a visual impairment. This category includes both partial sight and blindness. Next category is multiple disabilities. A child with multiple disabilities has more than one condition covered by IDEA. Having multiple issues creates educational needs that can't be met in a program designed for anyone with disability. The last category under IDEA is other health impairments. The umbrella term other health impairment covers conditions that limit a child's strength, energy, or alertness. One example is ADHD, which impacts attention and executive function. Let's now talk about the terms commonly used in special education. First is the inclusion. In an inclusion classroom, students with disabilities and other special needs are taught alongside non-disabled students or regular students instead of being segregated in a special education classroom. There are two types of inclusion: full inclusion and partial inclusion. First, full inclusion is the practice of including students with disabilities, in particular those with learning disorders, in the same educational program as their non-disabled peers. While partial inclusion is a form of integration that takes place within the school, in which children with special needs are given the opportunity to participate in a regular classroom setting for up to half a day. Integration traditionally refers to the education of children with special needs in mainstream settings. Children with special needs are being mainstreamed in regular classroom together with regular students with a little modifications, such as mode of instruction, teaching techniques, and different activities being held inside the classroom. Segregation is where SPED students are segregated in separate classrooms or schools because of their disability.